Hey Megtoes, this is Vention. Getting rid of this scooter. Haven't ridden it for a while. Been paying the license fees on it. It's been sort of an emergency backup plan. You know, if as a lot of people know, I'm into preparedness as well as MGTOW and as well as bitcoins and it's like it's sort of a synergy. They all add to each other, and it provides a really nice lifestyle. But the thing is, market conditions are changing. We're rapidly approaching the next economic recession. I mean, we should have had it by now. I don't know how it hasn't happened yet. Usually, it happens like every 7 to 10 years, and it's been since 2008. It's been like 11 years, and man, it should have happened by now. But there are signs that the next recession is coming, like falling real estate prices in the major cities, as well as like especially like Canada. Um, I'm kind of lucky here in the Pacific Northwest. We tend to not fall as far and fall slower, and the recession takes place a little later in this part of the country. So so basically, I think I have time, but I believe that the real estate prices are going to start coming down again over the next couple of years. And at the same time, the Bitcoin price has been falling for a year, and it has bottomed out. It really, well, unless something really weird happens, it has bottomed out. So the perfect move for me now would be to dump this house on the market, and then basically live in an apartment, or possibly do the mobile lifestyle thing, or possibly move overseas. Like I'm looking at Latin America. Um, so basically, it's a hard situation. Like when I was in the condo, right, and I saw silver going up and up and up, and then I was also seeing real estate prices dropping and dropping, and that's when I decided to dump about half my silver for a down payment on this house. And in 2012, it looked to me like the real estate prices had bottomed out, and it was time to liquidate some silver because it was already starting to come down, and dump it into the house down payment. And then I didn't want to sell the condo, so I basically put a renter. I fixed it up, got it painted, put some carpet into it, and then I had a really nice renter in there for a couple of years. Uh, so, and I was actually having a positive cash flow. And then in around 2015, I dumped that on the market because the real estate had recovered a lot. And then I dumped the money into the house mortgage. I didn't quite have the balls to put it into Bitcoin because Bitcoin was such a new thing back then, and it wasn't even certain whether or not it was going to be legal, in the U.S. And there are some jurisdictions where it's not very legal, like New York, but pretty much now it is fairly well set up to be legal. And then you have Fidelity and Backed coming in, and more adoption, and the price has bottomed now. So I am of the opinion that now would be a good time to sell this house and dump at least some of it into Bitcoin and maybe some of it into vaulted gold. It would be very nice to have what I get for the house locked into something that government can't seize, right? For example, if if I were audited, right, by the IRS, and they had like some kind of bone to pick with me. Everybody has problems with the with what they do. They don't always fill out the paperwork correctly. So although I've done my best, um, but there are other things that could, run. You could like run into an accident or something, and have a big huge lawsuit heading your way. And if you have your your wealth locked up into bitcoins or something similar, that wealth is like much harder for them to just reach out and snag, right? Um, and that increases. That is a increase in your security that sort of counterbalances the volatility of cryptocurrencies. So I am thinking that in the future, like over the next year or two, we're going to see some significant drops in the real estate prices, and we're also going to see some nice gains in cryptocurrencies. So now is the time, I think, to liquidate this house and start moving some of that wealth into crypto, and maybe some of it into vaulted gold, some of it into savings. And then I'm pretty darn close to pulling the plug on my mechanic job. That that would be pretty darn awesome. But man, I mean, I'm not really a big clutter guy. I don't really stack up a bunch of crap, but over over the last 7 years that I've been living here, since 2012, I have bought a lot of shit. I've got a whole shed full of stuff, a lot of prepper items like big buckets of wheat and freeze dried food, and big freezer, and then yeah, an old wood stove that you can set up inside your fireplace. A lot of real serious prepper items. But I'm going to have to get rid of a lot of that stuff. And it's going to be kind of a pain. And then, of course, my old man, he's living with me. And just because I've let him live with me for like the last 4 years rent free doesn't mean that I'm obligated to do it forever. He has a pretty good income for a retired guy. He can get an apartment, and I might be a roommate with his. We shall see. But man, the ability to pull the plug on my job and be absolutely free, man, that is something that most people could just barely even dream about. But I've got a lot of shit I'm going to need to get rid of, tools and infrastructure and just air compressor, just tons of stuff. Some of that's going to go to the wherever my dad ends up living. And but basically, yeah, I think it is time for me to get moving and move on to the next phase of my life. And I've enjoyed living here, and I've enjoyed doing things like like creating the grape trellis and having the garden and the raspberries and the fruit trees and stuff like that. That's been awesome. But I think it is time to let this place go. So that's about all I got for you. This is just sort of an update, not really anything earth-shaking. Well, unless you're me. But yeah, it's big things are happening for me, and it's going to be scary, like it always is. Just like when I bought the house, I was really nervous about it, and it was like a big change in my life. Same as when I bought the condo. It's like we all have these little phases, well, big phases that we go through. So now it's time for me to go on to the next phase, and then jump around a little bit, do some interesting things like permaculture projects. And then maybe if I see a place that I like, I might want to settle down somewhere. It's this has been on my mind for like like a month or so, maybe two. It's really getting close for me to move on to the next phase, so to speak. So this, one of the first things I need to do is just start getting rid of shit. You know, I got rid of my electric bicycle a few months ago. Now I'm going to blow the dust off of this thing and see if I can fire it up. Got a new battery for it. Then I'll get rid of this. The reason I kept it for so long is because, you know, I'm into preparedness and all that. I could commute to my job and back on this for like a week on just like maybe 2 gallons of gas. And that's something my car certainly can't do. And if we ended up having like some kind of big ration system due to fuel shortages, I think they were doing some of that during the oil shock of the 70s. Basically, I would be able to fill up the car and then come home and then siphon out the gas and put it into the scooter or run the lawnmower with it and stuff like that. Okay, guys, well, so it was just an additional prep, so to speak, you know, just like all the other stuff. But now I think the time has come for me to travel light and do a little bit of traveling around, like what Adam Meister does, and a little bit of like what Migto Expat and Chris Cantu do. They live in Southeast Asia. That place is a little too alien for me. But I think Latin America, that might just be much more my style. The language is enormously easier to learn, and we're not just, you know, Hispanics and people in the U.S., we're not that different, not compared to like China or something. So I might be a little more comfortable there. Okay, guys, well, I think I'm going to let you go, and don't get married.